Now, as gender-based violence becomes a major talking point, as it should be, many have taken to social media to use that platform to name and shame alleged perpetrators. But some social media experts are warning against digital vigilantism, as there can be legal repercussions. For more on this, I'm joined by Sarah Hoffman, who is a social media law expert. Sarah, thank you so much for coming in. Before we speak about those repercussions, can we talk a bit just about how social media has become a space where women who feel that they've got no other recourse, that they perhaps have been let down by those who don't believe them, by a police station that is inept, by a legal system that cannot keep up and doesn't have the resources to do their jobs correctly. Social media has now become a space where they feel like their voices are being heard.
Absolutely. You know, no time like now has social media been more relevant in providing a voice to the otherwise voiceless. You know, and exactly for the reasons that you've spoken about: protracted legal processes, inefficient police forces. You know, it's often the retribution is far better to go onto social media and name and shame the perpetrator. However, as we're going to discuss now, the consequences where, you know, this is perhaps not always true, are really quite serious.
Now, just this week, because of this real spike in people speaking out against the murder and rape of women and children, we've seen these Twitter accounts pop up out of nowhere, some under hashtags like Me Too and hashtags Am I Next? And as I've been trying to keep track of them, it seems others have popped up, as certain ones have been shut down for legal purposes by Twitter. What have you seen from these social media accounts that have popped up about how they're going about taking in those direct messages, those private messages, and then disseminating the information they're being given?
So our office has actually been inundated with calls and contacts from people who've been named and shamed on these accounts. And, you know, it's just unbelievable that accounts that were opened on Tuesday have now got over 20,000 members. What we're seeing is that the people responsible for these accounts are taking little to no steps to verify the accuracy of the information they're being received. So, you know, sometimes it's as simple as receiving a direct message with a person's name, no specifics around the allegations whatsoever, and they are then going to social media, publishing the screenshot, publishing the names, and causing major harm. You know, I see a place for it, as I said, where the law cannot assist, where the law is ineffective, and perhaps even where the allegations are true. However, when you take no steps to verify the accuracy of the information, and the information isn't true, the reputational harm is absolutely irreparable. And we've had people lose jobs, lose major commercial contracts. We've had young people at the start of their careers being fired immediately. It's really major what's been going on.
And now, in terms of how you then approach, if somebody were to call you and said, I've been named on one of these sites, that person perhaps says it's not true, or whatever they might be saying to you, do you then direct your next steps towards the person that might have named this person, or to the said social media account where this face or name of this person has popped up on?
Well, the problem is that the people responsible for the accounts are all making it pretty clear that they will not, under any circumstances, reveal their sources and provide the identities of the people who provided them with information. So the only people we can really approach in these situations are the people behind the accounts responsible for publishing the names.
But how do you do that?
Well, that's also challenging, because some of them are operating behind anonymous accounts. Some of them have obviously taken some legal advice and are now providing some sort of email address where they say that those who have been accused can sort of present their case. But at the end of the day, this really isn't in accordance with the rule of law principle that, you know, essentially we are innocent until proven guilty. This is trial by social media, and it's not really allowing those accused to present themselves in a fair way.
What are you hearing from the big social media platforms like Twitter?
Well, I think people have tried left, right and centre to shut these accounts down, to report the individual posts, and we've seen some of the posts being suspended temporarily and then popping up again, or new posts being shut down. So the greatest problem is, from a reputational perspective, if the information published is absolutely untrue, it's very hard to recover. The reputational harm is sometimes permanent and long-lasting and often irreparable.
What we've also seen in some of these stories that have been sent through on DM have not been the stories of that person, but somebody connected to somebody who perhaps had been murdered, not murdered, raped or assaulted. That is even more dangerous, isn't it? Because you're sharing a story that's not yours to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and there is liability in terms of our law if you simply share somebody else's story and it's not true, and it's objectionable, unlawful, illegal content, and defamatory content, more importantly. You can be responsible for publishing that content.
In your experience, is the justice system ready to deal with all of these kinds of permutations in this digital world out there?
Look, the justice system, I think, first and foremost, needs to address what the root issue of all of this is dealing with the gender-based violence, dealing with the femicide, dealing with the terribly low prosecution rate, because that is underneath, what's lying underneath all of this.
So people might be saying, I'm not getting justice in the court, so you go ahead and try and see the justice system will help you.
Because they're finding a quicker, more effective way of getting their retribution. But unfortunately, the collateral in this process is really significant, particularly for those who are falsely accused.
We've got a lot of young people using social media, many of them over the last few days specifically finding solace in these accounts. Do you think enough of them understand what the legal repercussions could be?
Absolutely not. I think it is so tempting to jump on the digital vigilante bandwagon, to become a keyboard warrior, and especially for something that we all feel so passionately about and so desperately about. I mean, this Uyanene case has just touched a chord with every one of us.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for a lot of the stories we're seeing are absolutely heartbreaking. And where they're true, and you know, I do have a sinking feeling that a lot of them are true. They really are gut-wrenching stories that do need to be told. But we have to caution people against simply jumping on the bandwagon if you do not know that the story is true, because the legal consequences, the reputational consequences are really serious.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Very interesting topic indeed, a very important one as well. Thank you so much. Sarah Hoffman, she's a social media law expert. Thanks for giving us such great insight on that story.